The Republican Party has some decisions to make. In early January, the Capitol was stormed by Trump supporters. 5 people died, including a police officer. A month on, Donald Trump faces an impeachment trial again, this time accused of inciting this violence. And whether guilty or not, this is a man who repeatedly undermined America's election, who received more than 70 million votes, and whose son sees it like this.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore. This is Donald Trump's Republican Party.
In the next 10 minutes, I'll look at Trump, impeachment, and the Republicans. What will they do about their now former president? It's a question that impacts their party and American democracy. Now, Donald Trump's second impeachment trial is the Democrats seeking to sanction him, despite him having left office. And on his impeachment, the Republicans are nothing if not consistent. This was from the first trial in 2019.
I'm not an impartial juror. This is a political process. There's not anything judicial about it. Impeachment is a political decision.
And once again, many Republicans appear to have made up their minds before the start.
I'll be brief. I opposed this article of impeachment and I yelled back.
Indeed, Republicans supported a debate on stopping this trial. That effort failed, but for a guilty verdict, 17 of them will need to vote with the Democrats, and that looks unlikely, because this is a story of the backlash that didn't last. In the aftermath of the Capitol, Republicans took turns to condemn the president.
The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters.
I think the president's rhetoric was irresponsible. I think it was reckless, and I don't think it was remotely helpful.
All I can say is count me out. Enough is enough.
And remember, Mitch McConnell saying he wouldn't be an impartial juror. Well, now, the New York Times is reporting that he was open to impeachment. And the number 3 Republican in the House of Representatives voted to impeach. Republicans begin turning on Trump, Politico told us. But most didn't do so for long. By late January, Kevin McCarthy, the lead Republican in the House, was visiting Donald Trump at home in Florida to talk about the midterm elections in 2022. Then there's Senator Lindsey Graham again. It was hard to keep up. Earlier, we heard him saying he was out, but now he seemed to be in, saying we cannot take the House and the Senate back without his help. That's just a fact. And now Donald Trump's been invited to a major Republican donor event along with other potential presidential candidates for 2024. That invitation offers us a clue to one reason this impeachment matters, even though Trump's out of office. A guilty verdict closes off the option of him being the Republican candidate again. Now, given he actively tried to change a valid election result, you might think that that was enough to disqualify him. But no, and not for the first time, we find ourselves asking, where is the limit for Republicans? It's a question they're being forced to answer because of Trump and because of newly elected Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. She supported the QAnon conspiracy theory that Donald Trump is waging a secret war against Satan-worshipping paedophiles. She's promoted conspiracy theories about 9/11, about school shootings being staged, about Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg being replaced by a body double years before her death, about the 2018 California wildfires being ignited by Jewish space lasers. And that's not even a comprehensive list. But no action's been taken against her. And this is the message from the party's leadership.
This Republican Party is a very big tent. Everyone's invited in.
To that, Republican Senator Mitt Romney says our big tent is not large enough to both accommodate conservatives and kooks. But that arguably is exactly what's happened. Donald Trump has spent years pushing unsubstantiated conspiracy theories, from Barack Obama not being born in America, to wind turbines causing cancer, to vaccines causing autism, to this election being stolen. Once you've chosen him as president, where do you go? Well, Liz Cheney wants to answer that. She's a senior House Republican, and she voted to impeach, arguing the President of the United States summoned this mob, assembled the mob, and lit the flame of this attack. Everything that followed was his doing. None of this would have happened without the President. Well, for that, she's under pressure. The Washington Post told us Liz Cheney is facing a voter rebellion. This is a rally urging state Republicans to oust her from the party. Now, that didn't happen in the end, but after a vote, hers was a message of unity.
It was a very resounding acknowledgement that we need to go forward together and that we need to go forward in a way that helps us beat back the really dangerous and negative Democrat policies.
This, though, isn't really about policy. What we're seeing is a battle about boundaries, what is and isn't politically acceptable and socially acceptable. On that, unity appears distant, and Trump feels like a central character. Do you remember this moment?
Trump is president, Christ is king. Trump is president, Christ is king.
Donald Trump's name was everywhere that day at the Capitol. He'd been omnipresent in American politics for 5 years. And of course, this is a man who likes to make it about himself, from putting his name on buildings, on his plane, on his golf courses. And we know his family believes he controls the Republican Party's future. But is this really about Trump? It can feel like that, can't it, with the second impeachment here? But is there actually something deeper going on? This Time article argues Trumpism will live on not because of his hold on the party, but because of what the party has become long before he came to town. The point here is that a worldview shaped by Fox News, by what people read on Facebook, by talk radio, isn't tied to one man. The feeling that the system is against them and that America's founding ideas are under attack is deeply held. And to understand where the Republican Party fits into those sentiments, we need to address the possibility of a grand misconception. Because for years there's been the idea that while Trump has been tolerated, this really isn't who Republicans are. Have a listen to Mitch McConnell again.
The mob was fed lies. They were provoked by the president and other powerful people.
That's as strong a condemnation as there can be. But hold on, if that's the case, why did senior Republicans say so little when Trump started his assaults on the election result? Why is the party still dealing with him now? One explanation is this is pure politics, a straight calculation that keeping Trump on side helps. But it could also be about something more fundamental. This is the Congressman Adam Kinzinger.
The Republican Party has lost its way. If we are to lead again, we need to muster the courage to remember who we are. We need to remember what we believe and why we believe it.
But perhaps it's not that the party has forgotten, more that some of its leaders haven't reconciled with what it's become. This is the Congressman Matt Gaetz.
Right now, there's an identity crisis in the Republican Party. There are some in Washington who believe that we've got to purge Trumpism and we've got to do whatever is necessary to get back in the good graces of the corporate PACs that have sworn off some Republicans. I take a different view.
Trump's impeachment trial matters. Arguably, what follows matters more. We're about to find out what the Republican Party stands for, what it will tolerate, and whether Americans like what they see. The nature of American democracy is directly tied to that outcome.